It's going on, everyone. 79% of the S&P 500 closed up in the green today, and as we could see by looking at today's heat map, the market had a pretty strong recovery, so hopefully today was a great day trading for you, but even if it wasn't, that is okay, because we have 3 more trading days left for the week, and as we all know, we are entering a period of increased volatility, which basically makes for better opportunities in multiple different ways, shapes, and forms going forward. So it's still an exciting time to be a trader. For today's video, we're going to be talking about exactly what's happening right now in the market, the most important stocks and news to pay attention to, and some key things to keep a close eye on over these next couple of days. We still have a lot to talk about, as you could say tensions in the Middle East are getting worse and worse, and there's some what we'll call interesting things happening in the economy right now. But besides that, Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, today was actually a really good recovery day. And Mike, yesterday, I know you hit this on the head pretty good. We went back and we looked at the SPY back during the COVID crash, so to say, right? If we do go to a daily chart and we go back to that COVID crash, there was a lot of crazy up days mixed in to the overall downtrend. Now, are we in like a period of time like the COVID crash? I mean, maybe not, right? But whenever we start to look at the volatility increasing in the short term, we're going to see these crazy recovery days like this. Now, this doesn't mean that the overall downtrend is done yet, right? But we are in that period where there is some consolidation, there is some moves back to the upside here. And, I know we say this a lot, Mike, but adapting today was a pretty big deal, right? The SPY started breaking above the high of yesterday and started breaking out very well there in the middle of the day. And I think everybody who adapted to that did very well today. So, it was a pretty crazy move today, Mike. And looking at the heat map, it was definitely overwhelmingly green.
No doubt about that. And I really like how you looked at past major downturns in the market, because like we talked about in yesterday's video, while the situation certainly isn't exactly the same as, like, let's say the COVID crash, it does have some similarities in the sense that the volatility index, or the VIX, got to the highest point yesterday, only seen since the COVID crash and Great Recession of 2009. So in some ways, the market is as crazy as some of those peak fear events, but one major piece of news that'll be so important to watch forward or look at over these next couple of days is what's happening in the Middle East right now. Basically, everyone is expecting Iran to launch an attack against Israel. No one knows exactly when it's going to happen, but everyone is certainly on edge, and Iran said that they were definitely going to strike Israel. Actually, U.S. personnel were injured yesterday in a rocket attack in Iraq, and 2 were even evacuated for further care. Again, this only adds to the already increasing tensions, and this, I guess you could say, situation will be extremely important to watch over these next couple days, because depending on how it unfolds, it can just lead to even more retaliations on both sides, and then just increasing tensions and problems all around, which can definitely impact oil prices and just market sentiment as a whole, plus gold and silver and other safe haven assets. So again, keep a close eye on this situation. Most people will be watching oil the closest, and one good way to do that is by looking at crude oil futures, but you could also look at like oil and energy related stocks like ExxonMobil, and there are many other ones. But again, we just wanted to warn everyone about this ahead of time so you could be prepared for when the news does break.
Yeah, because if that does happen, that's like the quintessential black swan event, right? Anything like that. And I guess, this one might not be like a black swan, because I guess it's kind of, I guess people are expecting it, right? People really do think that Iran's going to do this retaliation very soon, and it seems like everybody's just kind of like waiting. And, we've been through this before with Iran and Israel with these type of retaliatory attacks, and, the markets do go pretty crazy whenever that happens. We've seen gold and silver pop off of news like this in the past, and Mike, I know the past couple of days, gold's been pulling back a little bit, and everybody's kind of scratching their heads like, hey, why is it pulling back with the market? But I think that in the short term, just this initial shock is kind of causing more of a pullback. And we have to keep in mind that the carry trade is still going on as well, which is affecting currencies quite a bit.
Yes, exactly. So while everyone was freaking out about the Japan carry trade yesterday, and while there are some real and very important effects with it, it's worth noting that Japan carry trade has not just gone away overnight. Like, there are still some serious problems associated with this, which definitely has the potential to induce even more selling pressure going forward. But I think the unwinding of this Japan carry trade is also affecting gold, because as we've seen major investors all around the world start to sell off assets, whether it be individual stocks or even precious metals like gold and silver, a lot of that does have deep-rooted ties to the Japan carry trade. So either way, I think that definitely played an impact, but gold and silver do have a lot to gain in the event we do see true fear come into the market, especially with the Middle East tensions. But another thing that'll be very important to keep a close eye on over these next couple weeks and months, and while I know this isn't necessarily important news for tomorrow, we like to keep everyone informed ahead of time. And basically what we're seeing in the economy right now is a surely but slowly increasing unemployment rate. We could see almost every single time the unemployment rate has increased, like in the way it is right now, over the past 70 years, a recession followed that. You could see in the background, there are these gray zones, and each zone represents a recession in the United States. You'll see how every single time when the unemployment rate starts to tick higher, you see a recession follow that. And look at the chart right now. It's starting to increase. And while this is a very simplistic viewpoint, it is something that is held up in a very good way over the past 70 years for basically every single recession. So again, just keep your eyes on this going forward. We like to keep everyone prepared for, I guess you could say, this event as it's happening.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, Mike. Whenever you go back and you look at the chart, there are just so many examples, almost every single time right before the recession hits, there's a little uptick there in that unemployment rate. That's definitely one scary thing to look at. And I have a feeling that we'll be looking back at this either later this year or early next year, and we'll say, oh, wow, it happened again, right? And we got to keep in mind, guys, that the Federal Reserve, keeping this tightened policy, has been putting pressure on jobs. That's kind of been part of what they've been doing, and that's part of what Powell tries to explain at every single FOMC press conference as well.
Yeah, and that's a great point, because what we're seeing in the economy right now isn't something that anyone should be surprised by, because this is actively what Powell and other Federal Reserve members ultimately want. They want inflation to, slow down, and a byproduct of that is just an overall slowdown in the economy. So definitely keep that in mind as well, and we'll definitely hit on this a lot more as time goes by. But looking at some more specific action for tomorrow, Tom, we have a pretty exciting earnings schedule ahead of us, and we can see that, the earnings calendar, while it's not full of big tech stocks, there are a handful of pretty exciting companies that have, reported yesterday, but are also scheduled to report as the week goes on.
Yeah, SMCI reported tonight. That was a big one. And then tomorrow morning, we have Shopify and Disney before the market opens. And I know a lot of people have even mentioned CVS a lot lately as well. ACB, Lyft. So we have a few pretty big companies before the market opens, at least very popular ones. Robinhood in after hours, so that'll be big. And even Oxy, a nice oil stock there, will be reporting. So we have a lot reporting tomorrow, Mike. And then, of course, Thursday, we have Eli Lilly, Plug, Datadog, Unity and after hours. Friday, I keep saying this, the MJ with a CGC there to kind of end the week. But man, tomorrow's going to be big. Disney, they had some news today, and even Shopify will be a pretty popular report.
Sounds good. And talking about Disney a little bit more, they actually announced that they are going to be raising their prices for streaming. So this is pretty good, and this will definitely help them out, as while an increase of, you could say, $1 to $2 more per month certainly isn't that much for the consumer. It definitely makes a big difference when you have, you could say, hundreds of millions of monthly subscribers. So that's pretty big there. Disney did benefit exit from this news, which was good to see. Keep a close eye on them for tomorrow, as Disney stock has been recovering in a strong way over like the past like year or so, but like over like the past couple months, this one has been pretty brutal, as it fell from highs of like $123 a share all the way back down to 90. So like Disney's at like a decent level, but it certainly needs some true momentum to kick this one off in the way that many investors would hope for. But even if we look at another earnings related stock that you mentioned, SMCI, this one is all over the place in after hours, and they just announced a 10-for-1 stock split. So keep that in mind for tomorrow as well. And while a lot of times we do see good reactions to stock splits, SMCI isn't doing too hot in after hours.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It was actually moving up early on in after hours, and I was like, wow, this might end up being a good move for them. And boy, did they come tumbling back. Mike, that move that they had to the upside from close was like an 18% jump, and then they just gave it all back, and now they're actually down in the red, which is funny. But yeah, that's insane. These earnings can be wild, and you can even see some of the price action happening now as like that red candle started to form here in after hours. But yeah, these earnings, Mike, they're insane. There's the earnings calendar. Make sure you guys give it a screenshot if you guys want to see what is reporting. And yeah, Disney's going to definitely be big tomorrow, Mike. It's one of my stocks that I actually like for the long term. So they need a good report here, or else it's going to be a long time averaging in. That's for sure.
You know it. And then looking at the economic schedule for tomorrow, it is free and clear. We could see there's basically nothing on the schedule, which is a great thing, which will ultimately make it easier to trade, as we don't have to worry about any major inflation data reports or Powell speeches or anything like that. So with that being said, Tom, let's get right into the good stuff, which are some setups and predictions, but also some SPY levels and analysis. So looking at SPY, Tom, what would you say are the key levels in both directions for tomorrow?
Yeah, today was pretty big. There was a lot of nice levels that the SPY started breaking out above, which was nice to see. 523 was a big one. I really like that 524 breakout this morning. I thought that was a really nice break. A lot of opportunity there. Now we're sitting right around that 530 resistance at the end of the day. So I'm definitely watching 530 and 532 as major resistance coming up overhead. I think SPY needs to have a solid breakout above that before we become overly bullish tomorrow. As far as support goes, there's a nice one right around 518. We've also been watching that level a lot lately. It bounced right off of that before ripping this morning. And then below there, I have 514 and 509. If we get under there, Mike, we're going to have to sound the alarms, right? but I will be watching 504 and 500 underneath there. But that's the levels for SPY. And today, like I said, we had really good performance off of a lot of the levels that we've been watching lately.
All right, there we go. All right, so a stock I'm watching very closely right now is GLD, and it is to the upside. We hinted at this one a little bit earlier in the video. For those of you who don't know, GLD follows gold prices, and given the rising tensions in the Middle East right now, plus just the flock to safety as a whole, GLD definitely has a good reward to risk skew right now. The only main concern I have with this one is that even with the major developments, not only in the Middle East over the past week, but also just in terms of market sentiment, gold has still failed to truly increase in the way that many investors would have hoped for. And while this is a little bit disappointing, it's not too concerning just yet. So assuming GLD can break back above that 222 area for tomorrow, I would really look at this one in a bullish way. Again, it has that potential to make a nice move, but we need to see some good, meaningful price action first.
Yeah, and that's really what it is. I think that we could see gold start to really explode if we start to see that black swan event, or, just event over in the Middle East start to unfold, and it kind of surprises people. We should see some pretty good movement in the short term with gold. I'm definitely going to keep it on the radar as well. With my first play, I'm looking at Caesars. So they were recovering up today, kind of with the market. They were up 4.13%, and I am watching them back up. If they end up breaking above this resistance around 35.50, I will be watching them back. They have pretty good movement in the short term. They're not overly correlated to SPY, but they have been kind of following the market over the past few days. So I'll just be watching that resistance for a possible breakout. If it fails to break, I'll probably just be looking at downside setups on SPY or QQQ.
All right. Another stock I'm watching pretty closely is PayPal, and it is to the upside. This stock had a pretty good day today as it popped up by just under 4%, and it had strength that almost all other stocks in the market just lacked today. Another reason that PayPal is on my radar is because this stock has been beaten down pretty badly over the past couple of years, so it does not have that same level of positioning and just like emotion attached to it that many other stocks do right now that are, you could say, more overextended to the upside. So I think that gives PayPal like an interesting position right now. But either way, looking at PayPal in the short term, if tomorrow if it can put good pressure on its high of day and just make a meaningful move to the upside, somewhat similar to what we saw today, then I would really like the reward to risk skew with this one. The only key thing worth noting is that if we see the market, let's say, fall off the face of the earth and start drilling lower, then don't feel the need to, force a bullish setup on PayPal or quite literally most stocks out there. But besides that, keep that in mind, and PayPal is on my bullish radar.
Yeah, I said that same thing with my Caesars play, so I definitely feel you there, Mike. And with my next one, I'm looking at Tesla again, and everybody's probably like, Tom, quit calling out Tesla. Come on. But it's been awesome lately. You know, it's been sitting right around this $200 mark, and every time it falls under there, it seems to create a fairly good opportunity. This morning, there was a pretty good breakdown. If we go to like a 1-minute chart of Tesla, there was a lot of volatility at open, but once it kind of settled down, we had a nice drop under that 200 mark all the way down to 193 just about. So that was a pretty decent drop. Now we're going to be going into tomorrow, at least if we open where we are now, just under 200. So I'm going to continue to watch this level very closely for a flush. We've been looking at it on Bookmap a ton over the past few days, and you can see this morning how there was a ton of volatility there. There was a lot of nice levels breaking on the Bookmap as well. And also 193, which was the low of day, is now an awesome recent supports to watch. And also 195 could maybe be a good target, as you can see some buyers lined up there as well. But I love looking at Bookmap like this, Mike, looking at some nice targets coming up on the stock if it stays under 200. But as we know, this $200 level is a huge psychological spot.
Big time. And as we are entering a period of higher volatility, now would be a great time to try out Bookmap if you haven't already. Like Tom just showed, it's basically like X-ray vision for the stock market, and you can see exactly where buy orders and sell orders are lined up. So if you've always been wanting to try Bookmap and you've been looking for a reason to finally pull the trigger, now's the time. Market volatility is increasing, and we're starting to see bigger moves now than we've seen in quite a while. So it's a perfect opportunity. If you want to try it out, we do have a special offers section if you use the link in the description in the comments down below, where you can get some pretty nice savings. So definitely check it out. But besides that, Tom, we are all set for today's momentum plays. And with the first one, we have CCJ to the upside.
Yeah, CCJ had a pretty good day today. If they end up breaking back above 39 tomorrow, then keep watching them up. All
right. With the next one, we have Chewy also to the upside.
Yeah, CHWY. So we've talked about them a lot on the channel. If they end up breaking 23.25, then watch them up as well.
Okay, and then with the last one, we have SQQQ for both directions.
Yeah, so Mike, SQQQ is a wild stock, right? If the NASDAQ ends up falling, this thing could end up exploding. You can see today all the wild price action that it had. I know a lot of people were in puts. Obviously, I'd prefer to play calls on it in the short term here, but there's a big support at $10, so if it ends up breaking below that, look at puts to the downside. Now, if it ends up moving up and ends up breaking above $10.80, I will be watching for more opportunities back up with calls or even shares possibly on this one with how wild that it can get. But those are the levels on SQQQ.
All right, so we have the upside level for a potential move higher, and we have the downside level for a potential move lower. That's for SQQQ. Don't forget about Chewy and CCJ as well with their upside levels there. But either way, these three stocks are on watch for potential day trades tomorrow. If and only if they break through the levels Tom listed, the stronger and more consistent these stocks move, the better the setups become. So keep them close on watch. And besides that, Tom, it's now about that time for today's $712,000 big money trade. and we are looking at ticker symbol GLD. So again with gold, basically the big money is betting GLD to move in a bullish way as they bought the 223 strike call options that expire on September 20th of 2024. Looking at GLD, it has been uptrending in a pretty strong way over the past year. It is, pretty close to its highs, but quite frankly, it's just like lacking the momentum and necessary to truly break out at the moment. But again, as we all know, as tensions in the Middle East are constantly rising, that definitely does help gold and other safe haven assets. So looking at this GLD big money play, I like it, but understand the risk and just natural volatility that will come along with a setup like this one. While there have been a handful of big money trades that have done phenomenal in just days after they were called out, like Bank of America, JP Morgan, KKR, and many others, understand that these big money trades take time. That is why the big money, in many cases, buys weeks to months worth of time, because these trades are something that, are something that's held over the course of, months, in some cases, minimum. So keep that in mind going forward and keep a very close eye on GLD.
Yeah, and I still think that this whole situation, like with the carry trades, still needs to straighten out a little bit. And then, of course, obviously the Iran and Israel situation could end up popping off and creating a lot of volatility in the short term. So, yeah, I think that this is awesome with gold. Gold's dipping. It's providing a bit of like a dip buy opportunity. It is around support as well. I have support on GLD right around 220. So that's pretty much what I'm watching for. As long as it keeps holding that in the short term, I think that'll be a pretty good sign. But even if it doesn't, like you said, just expect a little bit of volatility out of gold. Like, you can see that gold never really just goes straight up, right? There are periods where you'll have a few good days in a row, but like, look at how sometimes it'll bounce off support and it'll take maybe 2-3 weeks of chop to finally get that, nice upside movement coming in. So just realize that with gold, it's like you tried to stress, it's definitely something that is a little bit more volatile. And I'm not going to say it's volatile like VIX in the short term, causing SPY and everything, to go crazy, right? It's not like that type of volatile. It's just a lot of up and down price action in general. But in general, gold's a bit of a slower mover, right?
Yeah, generally speaking, it's just when you have like major geopolitical events, like all the tensions in the Middle East and quite frankly, everything else we have going on in the world right now, it can make for some, I guess you could say, movement that's just out of the ordinary with precious metals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, Mike, but I'm definitely going to be watching it closely. It was actually one of your plays for tomorrow as well, and I think that getting like a nice breakout coming back in would be amazing. And at the end of day, there was even like a bit of a higher low starting to form here on the chart, so holding that 220 support would be pretty good.
Beautiful. So as we look at everything across the market right now, volatility is still increasing and it's still here and it's here to stay, at least for these next couple months as we get through the election. During times like this, we see stronger moves in both directions. While it may not seem like it, SPY technically finished up about 1% on the day, and that is after the giant drop right before close. Even if we look at the price action just from yesterday at open until like the highest point of today, SPY had a move of around, you could say from open to the highest point today, of around like 3.5%. That's a respectable move, and that is just from open of yesterday to the high of today. That is nothing, especially in a historical sense. So as we go into these next couple trading days, don't just expect volatility, but embrace the chaos, embrace the craziness, and you can do that in a way where you can feel confident and, positive by having good, solid trading habits. I know we say this all the time, but it's just that important. Following smart trading habits, like having stop losses and respecting them, following the money, just not forcing trades when opportunity's not there, are all things that can save you a lot of money money immediately. So consider, implementing smart trading habits like that. We have a great channel in the Stocked Up Discord with a bunch of great trading habits listed. So definitely consider checking that out by joining the Stocked Up Discord server. The link for that will be in the description down below. But it's an exciting time to be a trader. If you guys are new to the channel, consider demolishing that subscribe button to get our videos recommended to you more often. We post all the time, and in every single video, we cover the most important news, setups, and information to be aware of, on top of, in many cases, multi-million-dollar big money trades. But Tom, you're in the Profits channel, so you know we have to give a giant shout out to today's member of the day, Jared F463, who said, thanks for the Tesla call out on the video last night. Done for the day, guys. And that was a quick end to the trading day, Jared, so awesome job there. And I saw you made like another post later in the day where you shared like a fuller screenshot, I guess you can say. So that's awesome, and keep on rolling. As we look at the market for the next couple days, again, expect more volatility going forward, and now's a great time to try out Bookmap. If you haven't already, the link with the discount included will be that first link in the description and the comments down below. Besides that, thank you all so much for watching, and let's have an amazing day in the market tomorrow.